for more special interest stories, news, and headlines. I'm Ron Taylor, and you're listening to USA Headline News.
And I'm Daphne Mallory. Welcome to Family Business with Daphne. I'm so excited to be back. Oh my goodness. I feel like I've been away for a while, only though it's been like a week or two, right? But thanks so much for those of you who have been checking in with me via email and social media. I tell you, every once in a while, as an entrepreneur, you've got those busy seasons in your business, right? Where you just have to like put your feet to the metal and get things done. And you just have to just plow through it. And it's kind of like farming, right? There's certain times where you plant, where you sow, where you plant, and then when you have to reap the harvest, and you don't get to say, I don't think I'll reap the harvest today because, I want to rest or because whatever else is going on. No, you got to go and get that harvest. So that's what I've been up to as a businesswoman the last few weeks. And I'm so happy that so many of you have been actually talking to me as well about your success and your growth and your realizations and revelations and all of the good things that are happening in your business. It's truly, truly exciting. You're listening again to 103.9 FM KDKI. And if you're new to the show, this show is geared towards encouraging you to start and grow your own family business. And what is a family business? How is that different from a small business? Well, the purpose of a family business is to start something and grow something, transfer something that will last in your family for generations to come. It's not just about your life and your lifetime. No, you're thinking way big, third generation, fourth generation, fifth generation. And many of you listeners have told me that you're starting a business, you're excited. Some of you are like, look, our business has been in the family, generation 2 now, and I'm expected to take on the leadership of this business. And that's kind of why I listen to the show, and that's my role. And so I have a variety of entrepreneurs at all different levels and an international audience, which is exciting. I'm from Liberia, and so I definitely enjoy hearing from those abroad. I lived in London for like 8-10 years. So shout out to my British peeps as well. And this is an international cause, an international movement. It's entrepreneurship is for anyone who desires to create their own opportunities and to uplift themselves as well as their families and eventually their community out of poverty. That's what I believe the true call of an entrepreneur is. So on today's show, if you remember a week or two ago, I kind of talked about the power of fame or the power of becoming a celebrity to really gain a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And today, I wanted to address something else because I'm just getting really tickled pink by this. Have you read the 48 Laws of Power? Well, the reason, and this is by Robert Greene, the reason why it's so funny to me is that I had read this book a long, long, long time ago. And it's just so funny that I'm noticing in the world of business, I don't know if there's like a reprint of this edition or people are just coming onto this, but it seems like a lot of entrepreneurs have like read this book and now they're like trying out the 48 Laws of Power, against other entrepreneurs or in the marketplace, right? Or I've seen even non-entrepreneurs, nonprofit people try to use the 48 Laws of Power and all of these different people. And I'm like, wow, this is really funny and interesting to me. So I thought, well, since this seems to be gaining popularity again all of a sudden, or maybe people are just coming into this knowledge, I don't know, why not have a conversation about the 48 Laws of Power? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is going to be good. Because I'm not advocating that you use the 48 Laws of Power. What I'm advocating is that you know what they are so you clearly recognize it when someone is trying to use it against you, be it a competitor, be it a team member, and you can evaluate for yourself if any of these laws are something that you would even want to engage in in your own business? I'm going to leave that up to you. I know that I'm talking to adults. What I want to address, though, is the use of this in business and how you can spot it and how you can recognize it. And so let's dig into it for those of you who may or may not be familiar with it. Again, I want to confine the conversation to building a business and entrepreneurship. There are many other applications, but that's what we're going to focus on today. So, law number 1 of the 48 Laws of Power. By the way, you can find this online, on Amazon. If you wanted to purchase a copy, people have written about this galore forever. That's why I don't understand why there seems to be a resurgence all of a sudden. But law number 1, never outshine the master. And I'll read the law and then I'll explain. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please or impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. Okay, so that's law number 1. All right, why should you care about this as an entrepreneur, right? Well, the number 1 thing, it took me a while to really, really appreciate this in business and really understand this, right? But the number 1 truth that I've come to realize in my entrepreneurship journey is that you really cannot make it in business, especially as we're talking about a family business, to the next generation without a team. It's just impossible. You have to get there with a team, whether that team is just solely going to be your internal team of family members or a combination of both family members and non-family members. So the way you need to deal with this law of power is to, one, recognize it, to ensure that the people on your team are not trying to utilize this law against you. Are they trying to make sure that they don't display their talents too much? And I have seen this, and I have to admit, I didn't realize that I was applying this quote unquote law, but there have been times early on as a young woman, as a young African woman in certain circles, where I felt that it would not be in my best interest to display all of my talents. I thought that by doing so, I would alienate myself to the point where I could not then, whatever it was at the time, sit at the table or be invited or whatever, that people would feel intimidated, right? And so just by sheer being an African, or for some people who understand it this way, the Black experience in America, you're sort of taught actually not to display your talents so that you don't inspire fear or insecurity of those around you. And so it was something that I thought, this is a good thing to do. I've since learned, as I've matured in my professional and entrepreneurship journey, that no, absolutely, I should be being true to who I am. I should display my talents and not fear that. And I have found more success in being true to who I was than trying to downplay my talent. So that's how it kind of comes out as you're looking at your team members, and someone is talented. They're great at X, Y, or Z, but they seem to be downplaying it. They're not kind of letting their little light shine. Well, they may purposefully or with knowledge or without knowledge be applying this law. And what you want to do as the entrepreneur, as the leader, is be confident yourself first and foremost, because they're not going to be doing that unless they sense fear and insecurity in you, the entrepreneur, right? So you have to model it by being confident, by not living in and displaying fear yourself, so that you can inspire them to feel empowered to let their light shine and to not downplay themselves. You want your people to outshine the master. That's how you take your business and your family to the next level. So give that law some thought. Law number 2, never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Now, the law reads this: be wary of friends. They will betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. They also become spoiled and tyrannical. But hire a former enemy, and he will be more loyal than a friend because he has more to prove. In fact, you have more to fear from friends than from enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. Okay, so let's deal with that law, right? There is, I have to say, there's some truth to that, but I don't believe that you need to apply the law, right? The truth of the matter is that, yes, unfortunately, when you're starting and growing your business, as you become more successful in life, you will arouse envy in those around you. I can't think of an example of someone I know personally, someone I've interviewed for Entrepreneur Magazine or Huffington Post that hasn't said this. You have your circle. You start out in that circle. So you become, whether it's more famous or more successful, you generate an income, you whatever, on and on. You are growing professionally and personally. And unfortunately, there will be that one or that two in your circle, including family members, who will begin to have some envy about all of this. And unfortunately, in that situation, you have to give some thought as to who to let go in your life so that you continue to grow. Now, I'm not making any comments about, who to let go. I'm saying that those are decisions that you will have to make. So there is some truth to that. Now, as far as hiring a former enemy and all of that, and because they're more loyal, I don't believe that that's the route you have to take either. I do believe you need to be very discerning about who you let into your quote unquote inner circle. You need to know that you can trust people. I have learned the hard way who to trust and who not to trust, who to really give real information to. I mean, real information about my business, about my family, about whoever, because you really do need a confidant as an entrepreneur. You cannot do this alone. You need a shoulder to cry on. You need someone to complain to whine to, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're so much more than just building a business. A true entrepreneur is building a business. So they're in that grind, that hustle. Then they're, doing community development work. So maybe they're participating on boards or launching their own organization or trying to inspire action otherwise. And so there's a lot of battles, lots of obstacles, a lot of mountains to climb. You need someone to confide in, and perhaps beyond just your spouse, a close friend. But unfortunately, determining who that person is for you, there might be some trial and error, and time will tell. Quote unquote, money would tell. As you become more successful, there will be a distance, right? You'll see the jealousy, you'll see the envy, the personal attacks, the increasing gossips and rumors, and on and on and on. And you will know, and you will have to make that decision to then decide who your real friends are, to keep them close, which is opposite of this law, and keep your enemies at bay. Law number 3, conceal your intentions. I call this the ninja law. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. Guide them far enough down the wrong path. Envelop them in enough smoke. By the time they realize your intentions, it will be too late. Okay, it sounds diabolical, right? However, let's look at this for a second. It sort of goes back to what I said earlier. You really do have to be careful who you talk to about your plans, right? You really have to be careful because you have competitors out there, whether it's in business or just personally, they're competing against you. They're competing against you because they hate your ideas. They hate your spirituality. They hate your color. They hate your gender, whatever, on and on and on, whatever reasons they hate, right? And so you have competitors way beyond your business realm and your business circle, but those things will impact that as well. So you have to tread carefully and lightly when it comes to your intentions. Here's a practical example in the business world. So if you intend to develop a piece of technology that would just absolutely turn the market on its head, and that is your intent, the proper application of this law, as it may apply to an entrepreneur, is that you don't have to announce that to the entire world. I intend to build a piece of software that will absolutely change the game in this industry, da, 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 da. You absolutely don't want to do this. In fact, when I conduct interviews with entrepreneurs, sometimes they say, Daphne, this is off the record. This is, just between you and me. This is where I am going with this business trend or with this technology. There are things that I'm sitting on that I just cannot wait to see in the marketplace because I'm going to be a consumer of them. But I'm not going to talk about it because that's the trust I have between interviewees and myself as a journalist. But I'm looking forward to it. They are wise not to make that announcement to the world because their competitors, obviously, will try to rush in, copy it, imitate it, subvert it, sabotage it, whatever. So they conceal their intentions. It does not give anyone the opportunity to, quote unquote, prepare a defense. As it applies to the business world, that would be a copy, an imitation. Here's another example. Maybe you are an entertainment entrepreneur and you're intending to create a specific show. And there are ways to have conversations without revealing your intent behind that so that the network or studio doesn't go, okay, let's take that idea and run off and do it on our own. Okay? So that's the application to the business world. And I would absolutely agree with that. That's not being a non-Christian because you conceal your intent about your business. That's being a smart business person. That's being absolutely innocent as a dove and wise as a serpent. And if you don't know what that reference is, that's your homework from the show. Law number 4, always say less than necessary. Now this one, I come from a tribe in Liberia where that should be like our marquee. Always say less than necessary. We don't say too much. And actually that has helped me as an entrepreneur. Let me read that law to you. When you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you are saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. Okay, now that's just between my tribe, between being a former attorney and being an entrepreneur. I've got this law down, and I would agree with this one. I've been amazed that in talking with people, and you just ask them a question or two, and it's an hour later, and they're still talking. They're just still talking. They love to hear the sound of their own voice. They love to hear how smart they are, and they just go on and on and on. The problem with that in business is that you're supposed to be a better listener than you are a talker. I mean, how do you sell? What is the best way to sell? Ask questions. Listen for the needs, and then tailor your sales pitch, your product, service, idea, offering, right? You tailor it to what you're hearing in the conversation. But if you're just talking and talking and talking and talking, then you're not going to gather any information. You're not going to understand the needs of the customer, right? So you can apply this just to sales and you will increase your sales. Stop talking. Stop trying to impress people with words. Listen and say less. And that's absolutely a law that I have seen work. And absolutely, you will be a better entrepreneur because of it. Always say less than necessary. Then necessary doesn't mean you don't say anything at all or be super evasive all the time. That's annoying. No, but try to be very choice with your words. Law number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. I have seen some entrepreneurs and other professionals be so willing to just throw their reputation out the window. Ends justifies the means. I can act unethically because I'm angered in a moment or because I want to beat my chest or because I want to make a point and absolutely destroy my own reputation in the process. I could lie to this customer. They're not my most best, highest paying customer. So I can just lie to that person. That's fine. I can just treat them poorly. That's okay. I don't care that they go out to the community and tell the few people they know that, they're not going to change my life. Yeah, I could do that. And I just throw away their reputation. My number one, maybe my number 3 asset in business, number 3, I'll have to tell you the top 2 another day, would have to be my reputation. I want a reputation of integrity. Now, that reputation of integrity might accompany statements such as, wow, she's strict, or she's bossy, or she's whatever, or she's hardlined, or she doesn't budge, or she's stubborn. It might accompany that, and that's the risk an entrepreneur takes in being true to who she is. But yeah, I view my reputation. Hopefully I like to think it's one of someone who acts ethically and morally and seeks the good of others and not my own self-interest. And that's something I wish to guard in my home, before my children, representations on boards or in the community as a business person. Yeah, that's an asset. That's one of my main assets. So this law encourages you to do that. Let me read that law. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Seems like Robert Greene agrees. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once you slip, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them. Well, Mr. Robert Greene, we may not apply all of that in the world of business, although I'm sure most, if not all, of the entrepreneurs who are really at the top of the game of business are going, yep, that's exactly how we got here, or one of the ways we got here. You don't need to apply all of that law, but the point is, yes, reputation is truly the cornerstone of power. And those who are quote unquote in power in your industries, yes, they may be doing fine, even having a poor reputation. But if you've watched, whether it's the entertainment news or business news, you're noticing that giants are falling, aren't they? Giants will fall, and they fall because of their reputation. That's what's making the difference. So guard yours on the way up to the top, okay? Guard it now. Learn how to guard it now. Continue to hold on to it and guard it now, so that when you get on to the top, you're so used to being you You're so used to having a good reputation that you don't have to succumb to what's happening to some of those that are there. Law number 6, court attention at all costs. Now, if you listen to previous episodes, I have talked about, the power of publicity, the power of media, becoming a celebrity in your own space, because we live in a noisy culture. I mean, everyone is competing for our attention. It's not just other businesses, it's politicians, it's entertainers, it's everyone, children, except everyone wants our attention, right? So you've got to prioritize who gets your attention. Family first, of course. But here's the law. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in a crowd, then, or buried in oblivion. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd then, or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all costs. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. I feel like I should put on my British accent when I read this. It's a trip, but unfortunately, a lot of it is true. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. I mean, how are you standing out from your competitors? Are you reading the same business books and trying to compete with the same old, same old? And so your customers are like, well, who's the easiest, who's the closest for me to drive to? I don't really have loyalty to that brand. Who can get it faster to me, cheaper to me? It's no loyalty in your brand because you're not really standing out. You're not really appearing more colorful or larger, more mysterious. You're kind of just blending in, doing what everyone else is doing. And so you do have to court attention at all costs, and that means taking risks. Isn't that really the problem? I mean, really? If you think about it, you're not really trying to court attention, maybe because of your own fears and insecurities. Maybe you're afraid, you're still living in the middle school and high school drama of not being the weird one, not being singled out. You want to blend in with everyone else. Well, that's destroying your business. That's slowing you down. That's not having you compete the way you should be competing. So make a change. Figure out how to court attention. That doesn't mean you have to become a spectacle. That just means you have to figure out how to stand out from the masses. Everyone's on Facebook now. Everyone's doing Twitter. Everyone's doing Instagram. On and on and on and on. So what are you going to do that's different? Are you going to do a radio show? A podcast? Are you going to do more television appearances? Are you going to change from black and white or bland colors on your logo and other images to something more colorful, something that stands out? Are you going to take a stand on a controversial topic or issue? Are you going to comment on pop culture news or politics or whatever of the day? Are you going to make strategic investments in supporting causes that you're first and foremost passionate about, but yes, secondarily, it will allow you to stand out? Have you ever thought about why there are certain businesses, entrepreneurs, and celebrities that always seem to do certain causes? Yes, hopefully, first and foremost, they really are passionate about it. But really, sometimes isn't it about their tactics of trying to court attention at all costs? So think about what you're going to do to stand out as an entrepreneur, because that is the game today. In 2015 and beyond, it's about developing a as loyal team as you could ever find, one. And then two, it is about courting attention because it is noisy and technology is just going to grow and make it even more noisy. Everyone is going to be courting everyone else's attention. Stand out. Law number 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. And now some of you are like, oh, I didn't know that was a law. I do that all the time. Okay, I'm not endorsing this law, but I would like for us to examine this law. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. The law reads, use the wisdom, knowledge, and legwork of other people to further your own cause. Some of you are like, oh, that's what my boss is doing. Not only will such assistance save you valuable time and energy, it will give you a godlike aura of efficiency and speed. In the end, your helpers will be forgotten and you will be remembered. Never do yourself what others can do for you. Okay, so again, there's some light and dark in this one law, but let's focus on the light. And we'll talk about the dark because you will recognize what's happening to you. If some of you are still in the workplace, you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you haven't quite transitioned out, you're like checking out your manager and boss, wondering if you should emulate them. And you're like, wait a minute, that sounds really familiar. Or you're in a family business already and you're working with a sibling or cousin, or maybe even your parents. You're like, oh, that's what this is. Okay. Use the wisdom, knowledge, and legwork of other people to further your own cause. There's nothing wrong with that part of the law. You should be leveraging the talents and wisdom and skills of other people. As I've interviewed entrepreneurs as a journalist, they have all said, we've tried to hire people smarter than us. We've tried to hire advisors who know way more than we do. I've heard other entrepreneurs say, I try not to be the smartest one in the room because they understand that to get to that level, generating millions of dollars, billions of dollars, that they need to be able to leverage time and energy. I think that energy is the new currency. I think it used to be time, but now I think there's a lot of time but people have a lot less energy. I've noticed in just my traveling and talking to different people in different industries that there's a very, very low level of passion and energy. I've watched some of the U.S. presidential debates, and I won't name any names, but it's funny to hear one candidate pick on another candidate because he has low energy. Energy is quite the currency today. People are low on energy. They're not enthused about life. Some people, and let me clarify, some people, they're not enthused about life. Life is mundane. They don't really have a get up and go at 'em spirit anymore. That entrepreneurial spirit. It's like going, it's leaving. We don't want that to leave. We need that to build community. So this law is correct that you want to be able to save your own energy, time and energy, and you want to be able to leverage other people's time and energy. That's the only way to build a great family business. Now, everything else about it will give you a godlike aura of efficiency and speed. Well, whatever. And in the end, your helpers will be forgotten. No. In the end goal of building a family business is that in the end, they will reap the rewards of this because the business is transferred to them. And even before being transferred to them, they benefit from it economically as well as socially. And I do agree with the last line of the law. Never do yourself what others can do for you. Now, that's not going to apply day one in your business because you don't have money to hire out and you may not have the clout or influence to convince someone else to work for you for free yet. However, keep this in mind. Make a list, things that one day I hope never to do again in this business. You keep that running list and you keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities to bring people on board to take those duties and tasks over for you. Law number 8. Now, obviously, we're definitely going to have to do a second and possibly third show on this. So make sure you leave me comments on Facebook. Facebook is a great way to connect with me. Some of you are like, well, you haven't been on Facebook for a week or so. I know. I had to take care of business. I had to take care of family. And my Facebook page is Daphne Mallory ESQ, DAPHNE Mallory MALLORY .ESQ. I'm also on LinkedIn and also on Twitter.com, Daphne Mallory. And also, I post all of my articles there, as well as go to my foundation's website where my blog is also attached. That's daphnemallory.org, daphnemallory.org. And I post all of my writings there from the Huffington Post, Entrepreneur Magazine, all of these different places, radio shows, everything. I try to centralize in one place for you on my Facebook page or on my LinkedIn. So make sure you connect with me there and leave your comments. But law number 8, make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. And the law reads as follows. When you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans in the process. Lure him in with fabulous gains, then attack. You hold the cards. Okay. Well, you might want to know this law so that it's not used against you, right? So first and foremost, knowledge is power. You know, I used to hear this all the time. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. But no one really tells you which knowledge is power, right? Well, today, let me confine my discussion to entrepreneurship and building a business. And knowledge of these laws will be power to you because you will know and recognize, as I have, when people try to use this stuff against you. And you can take the light of the laws, as we're discussing here, and use it in a positive way, okay? So when you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans in the process, lure him in with fabulous gains, then attack you. Hold the cards. You know, one of the most popular trends that we've seen in business over the last, 5 years maybe, or less, or more, you know, the law of attraction. Instead of you going out there and making things happen, you make things come to you. So that's a popular philosophy that has been promoted on talk shows and on and on and on. I'm not even going to address that can of worms. Let's just talk about this law for this program. The idea that you have more control when you have things come to you rather than you going out to seek and gain them, that in the world of business is actually true. I've seen it actually work out as a truth, not only in my own business affairs, but in interviewing other successful entrepreneurs. You know, people don't remain enemies for too long in business when there's power and influence at play. I have seen enemies come together to create amazing products and inventions and new ideas, even collaborate in the world of philanthropy. Because at the end of the day, when true entrepreneurs are committed to their goals, period. They're committed to what some would say a higher purpose. You know, if you have that purpose in mind of building up a family business to transfer to the next generation, and that's going to take, you know, sums of cash. And in order to do that, you're going to need to collaborate. And the only other suitable person of collaboration is your quote unquote enemy. You soon start and that other person views it the same way, well, then you start coming up with new definitions for the other person, right? And you start trying to draw them into you. You see this played out in your favorite television shows, and eventually enemies become friends. And friends, quote unquote, if you could see me with the quotation marks, just joining together on this temporary basis, whether that temporary basis is a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, to collaborate, pool resources to accomplish this higher purpose, whatever that is for those businessmen and women. That happens all the time. And you lure them in with honey. Maybe you have access to distribution that they don't. Maybe you've got a factory that they don't. Maybe you've got access to a country, to a continent that they don't. Maybe you have access to a team, workers, a knowledge base, inventions, language, ethnicity, race, gender. I've been talking to some writers and authors recently male authors, who are bemoaning the fact their perception is, I haven't been in the publishing world for a while, so I don't know. But their perception is that, female authors are getting more of the publishing deals now than their male counterparts. And so you're now seeing some collaborations across gender lines, because they're like, look, I need a deal to get my book out. So I will collaborate with my former quote unquote enemy to get this publishing deal or whatever. That is happening. And they're luring them in with, okay, I'll do all the work. You can use my platform. I'll do all the writing, all the ghost writing. I'll do whatever, lure them in, right? So that you hold the cards in the end, because you get the deal you want, and you're the one that really is writing the material, whatever. You apply it to your business world. And recognize it, though. Recognize this law. I think this is one of those laws that I've recognized that people have been trying to use with me, which I think, again, is funny. But you need to know it so that you can recognize all of a sudden why you're maybe being invited to do certain deals, or invited to the table, or, you're like, wow, Daphne, you're just like, should I be suspicious of everything? Yeah. Yes. In business, you should be suspicious of everything. Once you've cleared your suspicion, though, once you're all set, you've done your due diligence and your checks and balances, and you're cool, drop it. Yes. But initially, yes, you would be naive to think that everything is all cherry pie and just lovely in the world of business. No. Does not work that way. Law number 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. I think this would be a law that I try to implement myself, and I look for in other people. And the law reads as follows: any momentary triumph you think gained through argument is really a Pyrrhic victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. Demonstrate. Do not explicate. Demonstrate. Do not explicate. For those of you who are leading others, who are already managers of a team, this is so crucial. Stop talking. Do it. If you want team members to excel at customer service, treat them, your team, as your customers, and demonstrate exactly what it is you wish to be done. If you are wanting your team to be more excellent in how they deliver products and services, then you demonstrate that internally as well as externally. Demonstrate. Stop talking. There's much more power. You can get much more agreement, much more loyalty through your actions. I agree with that. I can't really think of something that I actually disagree with in that law. I think that law might be all light. Law number 10, and that's the last law we'll cover today on this episode. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. You can die from someone else's misery. Emotional states are as infectious as disease. You may feel you are helping the drowning man, but you are only precipitating your own disaster. The unfortunate sometimes draw misfortune on themselves. They will also draw it on you. Associate with the happy and fortunate instead. Okay, now this is a tricky one because, again, my definition of a true entrepreneur is someone who is able to build and amass wealth, not just for themselves, but through, let's say, a family business for others in their family, but also beyond that, in their community and helping to uplift others out of poverty. So when this law says, withdraw from those unhappy and unfortunate person, that would not really comply with that definition, right? From a philanthropic standpoint. However, on your day-to-day, someone that you're not trying to uplift out of poverty or to help elevate them, just people, who are quote unquote friends who just want to come around you with their unhappiness, yes, I would agree with this law. Because again, what is the currency, in my humble opinion, today? It's energy. And unhappy people will absolutely drain your energy. So I'm not going to look at this from a matter in terms of philanthropy, which you absolutely should be trying to help the quote unquote unhappy and quote unquote unlucky become happy and quote unquote lucky, I would say blessed. You should absolutely be doing work in that area. But in terms of day-to-day friends and acquaintances who are just trying to just be unhappy around you, you can't afford that as an entrepreneur. You need that energy. That's how you build your business, with good energy. And you can't do that with unhappy people around you. So do some assessment. If you're noticing like your energy is low in business, and I've had to do that assessment myself, like what is going on? And one of the things I identified with was, there are people just unhappy, just constantly. I'm not talking about the once in a while unhappy, something has happened to trigger it. It's like, no, they're just in a constant state of not being happy. And that will absolutely zap your energy, and that will not make you effective or efficient in business. So that's law number 10. And we will continue this conversation and talk about the 48 Laws of Power. Check it out. I believe it's on Amazon as well by Robert Greene. And you have been listening to Family Business with Daphne. I want to encourage you to continue to plow through. It's, in the States here, it's getting to wintertime soon, and it's definitely an opportunity for our energies to get low, but we don't want to do that. Keep your energy up, keep your hope alive, and keep growing your family business. Tune in every week on 103.9 FM KDKI for more family business with Daphne.
Well, hopefully we're making your day a little brighter with this great music we're serving up. And we thank you for listening to 103.9 KDKI.